Hello friends, I am Rajaneesh Chandran. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in this session we are going to study about the projection of a hexagonal prism. So in the previous videos we have learned about a pentagonal pyramid and a triangular prism. So the question you can see in your screen right now. A hexagonal prism of base edge 20 mm and height 60 mm is placed on the ground with one of its base edges on HP, inclined 40 degree with VP, and the axis is inclined at an angle of 45 degree with respect to HP. So draw the projections of the hexagonal prism. See, this is the problem. A hexagonal prism of base edge 20 mm and height 60 is placed on HP or placed on the ground with one of its base edges. Which means in the top view you can see that the hexagonal prism is placed on the ground with one of its base edges is on the right side, right? So in the top view you can see, or the simple position you can see the hexagon in the top view, and in that position you can see this base edge is on the right side. So in the simple position you can see the hexagon with one of its base edges on the right side. Why? Because it is given that the hexagonal prism is placed on the ground with one of its base edges on HP, and again it is given that that base edge is inclined at an angle of 40 degree with respect to VP, and the axis is inclined at an angle of 45 degree with respect to HP. This is the problem. So we have already know that when a solid is placed on the ground or placed on HP, the first inclination should be given to HP and the second inclination should be given to VP. So we can read this question as a hexagonal prism of base edge 20 mm and height 60 mm is placed on the ground with one of its base edges with the axis is inclined at an angle of 45 degree with respect to HP, and the base edge is inclined, and the base on which it is resting is inclined at an angle of 40 degree with the VP. Why? Because the inclination with the HP should be given first and the inclination with the VP should be given next. So we have to read the question like that. So we are going to solve the problem. I have already told in the simple question we can see the hexagon with one of its base edges is on the right side. So how can we draw the hexagon with one of its base edges on the right side? 20 mm. Now how can we draw see, this is the first face of length 20 mm. So at an inclination of 120 degree, draw the second edge, another 120 degree, draw the third edge. Here also you can take a 120 degree so that you can draw the fourth edge. Now you can take an angle of 120 so that we can complete the hexagon. So now we have completed the top view of the hexagonal prism, and also we can name it. Also we can find the center. For hexagon, the center will be the intersection of the line connecting the opposite coordinates. So this will be the center. So see, this is a hexagon. So we can name this as, for the hexagonal prism two faces are there, this one and this one. Actually we have drawn this face and that can be named as ABCD. The bottom can be named as GHIJ. So here A, B, C, D, E, F, and the center is O1. So A, B, C, D, E, F belongs to the top hexagon face, and G, H, I, J, K, and L, corresponding center is O2. Now we can project the height of 60. So top face is belongs to ABCD, so this will be B dash comma A dash. Why B dash comma A dash? As we are observing from here, the first letter we are seeing is B. So B dash A dash, then C dash, D dash, E dash, F dash and O dash. Similarly here, H dash, G dash, I dash, J dash, K dash and L dash comma O dash. The symbol position of the hexagonal prism has been completed. It is given that a hexagonal prism of side 20 mm and height 60 mm is resting on the ground with one of its base edge on the ground. So we know that when a solid is placed on the ground, the first inclination should be given with the HP and the second inclination should be given with the VP. But in the question, it is given that the hexagonal prism is resting on the ground with one of its base edges on the resting on the ground with one of its base edges, and the base containing that edge is inclined at an angle 40 degree to VP and the axis is inclined at an angle 60 degree, 45 degree with the HP, right? So we know that when a solid is placed on the ground, the first inclination should be with the HP. Then only we can provide the inclination with the VP. So we have to rearrange the question like this. How can we rearrange this question? Which means draw the position of a hexagonal prism with the base 20 mm and height 60 mm is resting on HP with one of its base edges, with the axis is inclined at an angle of 45 degree with the HP and the face or the base containing the resting edge is inclined at an angle 40 degree with the VP. See, we have to rearrange the question like this. Then only we can solve this problem. So we know that the first inclination should be given with the HP and the second inclination should be given with the VP. Now we have completed the symbol position, and next what we have to do is we have to incline or we have to tilt the hexagonal prism, the axis of the hexagonal prism at an inclination of 45 degree with the HP, right? So we have to tilt this image with the axis of this prism at an inclination of 45 degree. So we know that when the axis of a solid is inclined at an angle of 45 degree with the HP, what we have to do is we have to redraw the image with the base inclined at an angle 90 minus 45. So since the angle is 45, 90 minus 45 again become 45. So the easiest method is we can tilt the base at an inclination of 45 degree, right? Which means select a point and name it as H dash G dash at an inclination of 45 degree. Then inclination of 45 degree, take this distance, mark O2, O2 dash, then take this distance, mark J dash, K dash, and this is L dash and L dash and L dash. Now draw perpendicular from this one, from this point, as well as from this point, at a length of 60. In this manner, we can reproduce this image. So, this will be B dash, A dash, C dash, F dash, O dash, D dash, E dash. Now, draw the projections. I have already told that since this is a prism, the easiest method is complete one base at a time. So we can complete this base and after that we can complete or we can go for the next base. So suppose line, see this is A and this is A. So this will be our A. Similarly this will be our B. So we have obtained C, this will be D because the projector through D and B will be on the same line. This will be E, here it will be F. We have also obtained O1 point. So connect all these points using fluid pencil in a lighter way. So that has been connected. Now go for the other face. So here it will be G, H, I, J, K and L. This will be 4. So you can connect this as H, J, I, J, J, K, K, L and L, G. Now we know that A is connected with G, B is connected with H like this. So connect A with G, connect A with G, B with H, then CI, DJ, EK and FI. Now we have to check for the visibility. All these connections should be done with the light pencil. Now we can check the visibility. We know that the border will be visible. See, this is a part of border, this is a border, these edges are also borders. So all the borders are connected. I hope you understand. So these all are parts of border. So we have a connected using 1 pencil in the dark. Now we are observing what is the condition. When we are observing from that point, the nearer base will be visible and the farther base will be invisible. Here the nearer base is ABCD, so that will be visible, and the farther base is GHIJ, so that will be invisible. So since this is nearer, that will be visible. So all the parts belongs to ABCDF will become visible and this will become invisible. So that has also been done. Now we are observing from here, the nearer edge will be visible in the opposite view and the farther will be invisible in the opposite view. So the nearer is DJ and EK. So here DJ will be visible. So this is DJ, that is visible. EK is this one, that also will become visible. And AG and BH will become invisible. AG, see, this is already, this portion is already visible, only this much portion is becoming invisible because the edge will come behind this visible edge. Similarly BH, actually this much portion is BH, but only this portion can become invisible because on the top of that invisible edge an invisible edge is there. So only this much portion is required to be marked. Now this is our axis. So the axis is also. So now the first inclination, that means the axis is inclined at an angle 45 degree has been completed. See, this is the axis, so that dimension also needs to be given. Since it is axis is inclined at a 45 degree, what we have to do is we have done with the base inclined at an angle of 45 degree. So I hope all of you understood this much portion. Okay, now it is given that the resting base, the base containing the resting edge, the base containing the resting edge is inclined at an angle of 45 degree with the VP. See, in which edge it is resting? The pentagonal hexagonal prism is resting on the base edge G dash H dash or GH. So the face or the base containing the resting edge is a GH. That is inclined at an angle of 40 degree with the VP. That is. So how can we mark? See, at an inclination of 40 degree, at an inclination of 40 degree, we can draw a line. And on that line, we can draw or we can reproduce this top view, right? So now we have to reproduce this resting at GH. We have to reproduce the entire image at an inclination of 40 degree with VP, and on that inclination, this resting edge GH will come. So we have to reproduce this image at an inclination of 40 degree with this GH is inclined at 40 degree. So how can we draw? See, select any point and name it as G. Now take this much distance and mark it as H. Keeping those 2 points, we have to reproduce the entire points. So how can we complete this? So how can we complete it? See, this is G and this is H that we have marked. Now, through this G we can draw a perpendicular line. Through H also we can draw a perpendicular. Now on that line, you can measure this and mark here. So that is our K. On this line, we can measure and mark here. So that will be our J. G, H, I, J. Similarly, on the same line, you can obtain B. You can obtain A. You can obtain D as well as. I hope all of you have understood this. So you can take this much distance, mark here. You can take this much distance, mark here. Similarly, you can obtain this. Now the only point what we have needed is this F, this point, and this point, and this point. So how can we mark that point? Similarly, you can obtain these 2 points, right? So mark those points here. You can obtain these 2 points. Mark those 2 points here also. On that point, draw a perpendicular like this. See, there are a lot of methods to reproduce this image. This is the best method, and this is actually the method what I am following. Okay. So we have reproduced these 4 points here, and on that point we have to draw the perpendicular. That also have been done. Now take this distance, mark here. That will be equal for all the points, and name those points as A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. Similarly, you can obtain the center distance also. Here it will be 1 to here. So I hope all of you have understood what I have done for reproducing this image at an inclination of 4. Why we have marked GH on this inclination? Because it is given that the base containing the resting edge is H or GH. The base containing the resting edge is inclined at an angle 40 degree. That's why I have marked the 40. Now we have to reproduce the entire image there. So connect AB, BC, CD, DE, EF, FF. This is invisible. This is also invisible. This is also invisible, and this belongs to the axis. So now we have reproduced this image at an inclination of 40 degree. The resting edge BH is now GH is inclined at an angle 40 degree. Now we have to obtain the front view of this one. For that we have to project all the points. So what I have told earlier, we had to obtain single face. So this is the projector through B. So this will be our B dash. And this is the projector through A, so this will be our A dash. Now, so this is the projector through C, so that will be C dash, and this will be F dash, This is O1 dash. Now D dash, E and E, so this will be E dash. So one base has been completed. Connecting it using a light pencil, CD, DE, EF and F. That is completed. Now through all these points to our projectors. Through all the points, draw the projectors. Now this is H and G. So this is H dash. This is G dash. Let us rotate. Now through J and K draw horizontal projector. So this will be our L dash and K dash. K. So this will be our K dash. Then this will be our J dash. L dash, G, H, I. So I dash. What do you consider? So the points of the bottom face also has been obtained. So G dash, H dash, A dash, G H, J, I J, J K. So both the phases has been completed. Now we know that the connection is between AG, BH like that. So we can connect the AG, BH, CI, DJ, EK. So that also has been completed. Now we are going to check the visibility. We know that the border will be visible. So these all are part of border, so that will be visible. So border is visible. Now we are observing from here. Since we are observing from here, the base IJK will be visible and the ABCD will be invisible. So IJK. So this will be visible. This will be invisible. That also has been marked. Now the next point is we are observing from here the nearer edge is CI, the farther edge is FI. So CI will be visible. Where is CI? CI. So CI will be visible. So this CI will be visible. CI will be visible and F will be invisible. See, this is F. Will be invisible. So that is also become visible. Now we know that this is an invisible corner, right? So since it is an invisible corner, the edges connecting the invisible corner will be invisible. So it is invisible. So that is also invisible. Now the only edge which is balanced is this one. That means dj. So whether it is visible or not. How can we check whether it is visible or not? We know that in the alphabetic order C, EK, DJ and CI. So in the alphabetical order CI and EK is visible. So since in the alphabetical order DJ comes in between the CI and EK, this is DJ. So in that manner, DJ also became invisible. So this is visible, and this is actually the axis. That became visible. So this is visible. This is visible. This is visible. What the other is So actually, the projection of a hexagonal prism is actually the very difficult problem in projection of solids. Why? Because it have two faces and 6 lateral edges. So we have to check whether those 6 lateral edges are visible or not. So the condition of checking the visibility, all the conditions has to be applied for obtaining the visibility. What are the edges which are visible or not in the case of a hexagonal prism? So I hope all of you have understood this problem. So if you are really liking my video, please subscribe my channel. So in the next video we will be discussing pentagonal projection of pentagonal and square pyramids. So I hope all of you understood this problem.